So Boohoo, once again, we're going to do a little bit talk about this one. We're going to talk about it because, first of all, the share price once again, we talk about it a lot at the moment. The share price is making a lot of moves. Well, it's making one move. It keeps going down at the moment, so we'll talk about that. We'll talk about why the stock dropped so much yesterday. It was on the back of some Russian news or an update from Boohoo about the Russia situation and what they're going to do with it. There was also an confirmed trading update that's going to come up, so we're going to talk about that as well. So yeah, I hope that is all useful for you guys. And we are kind of coming like the Boohoo channel here at the moment, but just one of those. It's typical that all these kind of news and little bits of information that comes out all comes out at once, and yeah, I think it's a popular one to talk about at the moment because it looks an absolutely amazing buying opportunity, but all you're seeing is that share price go down and down. Just on a little bit of a side note, I know on the last video I said that if you guys have any videos you want me to do, comment on the video, and if it's a popular one, I'll talk about that subject. Now, I was actually quite blown away because there was a lot of different comments. So what I thought is maybe on Saturday or Sunday, I just do a separate video, actually going through the comments of the last video and just respond to all the comments that you guys put. So I'll probably do that on Saturday, Sunday, just to keep you updated. Don't think I'm ignoring you or just kind of disregarded what I just said on the last video anyway. So yeah, I hope that's all useful. So yeah, I mean, just on the share price point of view, this stock just cannot find a bottom. It just drops and drops and drops, and you're thinking, no one's going to sell this stock at 90p. Okay, no one's going to sell it at 80p. And then you're thinking no one's going to sell it at 70p. And it's been an awful week for Boohoo. I think it's down like 15% this week. 10% of that coming yesterday on the Russian news that came out, and it's just absolutely crazy. And I am looking at this stock now, and I am thinking, you look at this stock, previously to 2021, obviously there's logistic issues going on at the moment, and that's really hurt the stock, hurt the margins in particular. But you look at this stock and you look at what it's done previously, a company that has historically revenue growth, profit growth, fantastic, and now it hits a bumpy patch and you think, okay, maybe the bumpy patch deserves the stock to drop 20-30%, and then you look at it's gone from down like £4 down to 70p. It's absolutely bonkers. And I generally look at this stock now and I think it's just so short-term minded to just ignore what it's done previously and what it's going to do forward, going forward. And it seems like everyone's just focusing on what the stock's going to do in the next 6 months. This stock is pretty much getting valued that it's going to carry on doing these margins with these logistic problems. Like the margins are going to stay down at 2%. And it seems like everyone's valuing this stock that it's going to just carry on growing at single-digit revenue growth. Considering this stock historically grows at 30-40% historically. I don't think it'll do that going forward. I think it'll be around 20-30% going forward. But, just to think that it seems like it's getting valued that this is going to stay the same. Like I've always said, for me, in my opinion, I always value Boohoo that in the next 5 years, they actually get to about 100 million in profit. And if we get to 100 million in profit, you work the numbers out on the current valuation. If Boohoo get to 100 million in profit, this valuation is really cheap. And, I made a video, maybe it was last week, I think it was, talking about why I think Boohoo were like 3x to 5x. And generally, like if Boohoo hit 100 million profit, I easily see the stock 3xing to 5xing from here, and that's where I'm at with it. And I'm still amazed to see how many people value this at a short-term point of view of where it'll be in the next 3 to 6 months, not where it'll be in a few years' time. But hey, we're not going to talk about that one today. We've done plenty of videos on that one. Let's get on to the new news, because that is why the share price is dropping, and then we'll talk about the trading update. That had no effect on the share price, but just some things really to look out for, I guess, in that trading update. So the Russian news. So I'm sure plenty of you are aware of what's going on with Ukraine and Russia at the moment, but Boohoo put a statement out here saying that Boohoo is deeply concerned about the tragic developments in Ukraine. Immediately following the invasion, the group suspended sales to Russia and also closed its Russia trading website. Sales made by the group into Russia are not material, totaling less than 0.1% of the group's revenue. And then they actually put a little notice here of that they're going to do their trading update. So it was this news that then sent the stock down 10%, and I was shocked to see this move off that news release, basically. For Boohoo to come out and say that they're going to stop trading with Russia, which is absolutely fine that they made that decision. I'm happy they made that decision. And you've seen so many other companies make this move, and it hasn't really affected them at all, saying that, oh, we're going to stop doing business with Russia. There's going to be some impacts on the revenue side of it, and Boohoo come and do exactly the same thing. They even state that the revenue that they get from Russia is less than 0. Not 0.1, less than 0.1, and then the share price falls 10%. That just shows you how much negativity there's out here right now, that we're having 10% drops at the moment on Boohoo after putting that press release out. it's crazy. It's crazy. Like, you know, this is really not going to have that much impact on the revenue at all in Boohoo. You know, less than 0.1%. But you know, the problem is at the moment, you know, the shorts have the control on the market. The shorts have control on Boohoo, and while that is happening, as long as there's just this, you know, general little feed out of this negative news, the shorts are going to be all over it, and that's what they're enjoying at the moment, and it's just keep pushing the share price lower and lower. Even though you know, you do look at that 0.1%, and you're like, oh, that's, you know, nothing really. But the shorts, oh, that's Boohoo losing more revenue, losing more profit, and it is a bit annoying to see. So for me, that news yesterday, the drop in the share price, was once again a massive overreaction, but just shows you the state of the market that we're in. You know, for a company to come out and say they're going to lose it, you know, doing the right thing, stop trading with Russia, like nearly every other company has done, and then they get punished 10% on the share price from it. It's just where we're at, unfortunately, and it is annoying and it is frustrating, and it is an overreaction, but that is just where we're at the moment. So, I mean, yeah, I mean, in the long term, it probably creates more opportunity for a return on the share price, but in the short term, it is frustrating to see that is kind of where we're at, and that sums it up basically. So that's all I can say on that news. It was an overreaction in my opinion, but that's the state of play at the moment, I guess. A little bit of another thing that I wanted to put in here is that I actually thought, I had a look at ASOS. They did something very similar. They said they stopped trading with Russia, and also obviously there's more than likely there's not going to be too many orders coming in from Ukraine at the moment with what's going on, and I think Russia and Ukraine makes actually up 4% of their revenue. With Boohoo, I had a quick look. They actually don't trade in Ukraine, so there's nothing they're going to lose in particular from orders from Ukraine because they're not there. So Russia is the only place where they'll lose a bit of revenue, and like I said, like they posted in this statement, it's less than 0.1%. So yeah, that's what another thought that I had, but I think we're okay there. So yeah, that's everything about the Russia situation. There's not much more I can add in apart from it's frustrating and it is an overreaction, but hey, it is what it is. Next up to the trading update. So this is going to be really interesting because the last trading update we had sent the stock down quite a big amount, and we'll see what happens in the trading update next week. So the trading update is, I believe, on the 10th of March, which I believe is a Thursday. And there's a few key things I personally will be looking out for, is some update on the logistics situation and the outlook situation. So we know that a lot of this drop at the moment that Boohoo is on is because of the logistic issues. They're having problems getting the products to the rest of the world, Europe, US, and that's delaying a lot of the sales. That's causing problems. How has that improved? And also we'll be looking at logistics from the cost point of view. Now we know the cost of logistics has gone up an absolute crazy amount, and has that over the last few months started to flatline? And then what outlook do they give on that? Do they expect it to carry on getting worse? Do we expect revenue to slow down more? Do we see profits slow down more? Or do we actually see maybe a bit of a recovery happening? And the other problem they have now is that obviously because of more than likely a lot of the petrol prices will be going up as well. A lot of the fuel prices will be going up. Are they now going to change their outlook to say, you know, oh, we kind of saw this recovering at the back end of the year. Now with this going on, we have the uncertainty of that, what effect that will have towards the back end of the year. So the big thing that I'm looking for is logistics and how that affects the outlook in the next few months. Because obviously the kind of plan was that by the back end of the year, a lot of the revenue and profit starts improving because of the logistic issues. If this kind of extends for the next kind of 12 months, does that change that? So that's probably the key thing, and that's what probably those two things are what's going to move the stock on Thursday, depending on what they give with that. But it's going to be really hard to it's going to be hard to probably forecast it as well. You know, there's a lot that can change with this situation still. So yeah, that's probably the key thing. Next thing is probably obviously see how the revenue's going. Are we doing okay? Are we seeing recovery? Is Europe recovering? Is the US recovering? So yeah, we'll be looking at that. I think it's probably a decent period through the Christmas period. Obviously Debenhams back online, some sort of update in there, I guess. And I guess this one, it's all logistics and outlook all ties into how the revenue does and how the profit does. Same again, profit, how is the profit looking? How is it getting hit? What's the profit margins? How much is that logistics issue burning into that profit? What outlook do they give for the profit? So yeah, I mean, these two things just tie into the revenue and profit really. I mean, that is that is the deal breaker basically, because this is what's causing the issue at the moment for Boohoo and what's caused the issue in the share price at the moment. So that's the key thing that I'll be looking for, and that will what probably move the share price depending on what they the information they give on that situation anyway. So yeah, that's the video on Boohoo, guys. Talk about the Russian news that came out and the overreaction in the share price and that, and also some things to look out in the trading update when it comes around to it next week. And more than likely, I would guess that I will probably make a video talking about this trading update unless there's not much reaction or not much information in there, which at the moment I see that happening. I see there being a bit of reaction off the trading update. So yeah, I'll probably be back next week talking about this one and maybe in a bit of a review on the trading update that comes out anyway. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video, guys. If you did, hit the like button. If you do, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.